America's early days. From escaping the plantation to the rise out of poverty and the struggles for equal housing and education to the struggle for voting rights, the resistance lived on even in the 21st century. By the mid-1800s, Harriet Tubman had proudly earned the nickname the Moses of her people when she helped slaves travel to free states and into Canada and Mexico via the Underground Railroad. President Abraham Lincoln will finally make escape routes unnecessary by signing the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, as tens of thousands of former slaves joined the Union forces during the U.S. Civil War. In the following years, the infamous white-only Jim Crow laws that pervaded African-American life in the post-war period resulted in a form of passive resistance. As millions moved with the Great Migration north beginning in the early 20th century, in the North and East and elsewhere, blacks finally found their voice on stage, in sports, in the recording industry, or in the political arena. In pop culture, singer Billie Holiday kept the black struggle in the national spotlight with her best-selling hit Strange Fruit. By the 1960s, resistance in the form of Black Panthers was an counterpoint to the Civil Rights Movement, which espoused more peaceful meaning to the same end. Under the strong leadership of Martin Luther King Jr., the battle for equal rights extended to not only blacks, but for other minorities and white working poor. Helping to finally end the last vestiges of Jim Crow, the Civil Rights Movement also gave impetus to the inclusion of blacks in the political process that ultimately resulted in the election of the first black U.S. president in 2008. Today, the rise of Black Lives Matter movement, together with champion, teaching truthful and accurate in public schools, continue the long and deep legacy of African American resistance that is ongoing.
Now we will have a song by our Coahoma Community Choir. I'm sorry. We will have a poem, America I Sing, by Kamaya Williams.
My song gave her creation, prepared her delivery, held her separate toys beautifully fed. My song helped her sing, held her hands to her first steps, nourished her very being, fed her, placed her 3 sisters strong. My song comforted her as she doubted my reason, broke my long-held little sore as any child might do. As she placed herself away, forced me to relieve myself, as I cried this country, my song grew roses and loose tears fall. My blood veined rivers, painted pipestone forests, circled canyons, while she made herself lady fine. But here I am, here I am, here I remain tied in each and every piece, carefully rumbling her great underbelly, prepared to pour forth singing. And again, and sing again, I will, as I have always done, never silent unless in the company of strangers, singing with joy face, polite for fools, polite while dancing deep inside, polite mother of her world, sister. When my song sings aloud again, when I call her back to prayer, call her to purity to waters, to behold herself in dark and light, day and night, call her to sing alone, call her to mature, to invent.
She will make herself over. My song will make it so. When she grows far past her self-fulfilling purpose, I will
You may talk about the king of Gideon. You may talk about the men of Saul. There's none like good old Joshua at the battle of Jericho. Up to the walls of Jericho, he marched with the spear in hand. Go blow that ram horn, Joshua cried, because the battle is in my hand. Then the ram sheep horn began to blow, the trumpet began to sound. Then Joshua commanded the children to and the walls come a-tumbling down.
God is a rock in a weary land. Weary land. God is a rock, oh Lord, in a weary land. He's a shelter in the time of storm, a shelter in the time of storm. My God, He is a rock in a weary. My God is a Let me tell you about 1 through 6, my God, my rock. Let me tell you about chapter 1, when the Lord God's word came. Listen about chapter 2, God preached the Bible. About chapter 3, chapter 4. Let me tell you about chapter 4, when the Lord God walked among the people. Chapter 5, and chapter 6. Yes, He healed the Let me tell you about 7 through 12, my God, my rock. 7, let me tell you about chapter 7, when the Lord God rose and went to heaven. Chapter, yes, God stood in the pearly gates. Let me tell you about chapter 10, when the sons of the Lord coming back again. Chapter 11, no wonders in the heavens. Chapter 12. Let me tell you about chapter 12. God sent Satan rise. God sent Satan rise. Sent him straight to hell. In a shelter, in a storm, in a shelter, in a storm. Yes, my God is a rock of reason. My God is a rock. Yes, God is a rock in a weary life. He's a shelter in a time of that storm. Rock in a shelter, rock in a storm, rock in a shelter, rock in a storm. Yes, my God is a rock of reason. My God is a rock. Yes, God is a rock in a weary life. He's a shelter in a time of that storm. Shelter in a time of that storm. Shelter in the time of that storm.
Thank you, sir.
Our guest speaker, Dr. C.J. Rhodes. With 20 years of leadership and ministry experience, Dr. C.J. Rhodes is a much sought-after thought leader and communicator. He was called to ministry at the age of 18, a month after graduating with honors from Hazelhurst High School. C.J. received his Bachelor's of Arts in Philosophy from the University of Mississippi, where he served in the student government and was leading student voice for racial justice and reconciliation. In 2009, CJ received his Master's of Divinity from Duke University Divinity School, and he earned his Doctorate of Ministry from Wesley Biblical Seminary in 2018. Before getting his doctorate, CJ gained continuing education in the Mississippi Black Leadership Institute, as well as Princeton Seminary and Arguable Black Theology and Leadership Institute. Dr. Rose is the pastor of Mount Ham Baptist Church, becoming the youngest pastor to serve Jackson's oldest Black congregation in 2010. Employed by Alcorn State University, he is also the Director of Religious and Spiritual Life, founding Director of Human Rebels Institute for Ethical Leadership, and intern Doctor of Merle Evers Williams Honors Program. Reverend Dr. Rose is the founder and president of the Clergy for Prison Reform, Public Theology in Residence, and the AND campaign, and the author of 2 books. CJ is also a member of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, all above, and he's also a proud dad of twin sons. Our guest speaker, Mr. CJ Rhodes.
morning, Tigers. Good morning, Tigers. It's a pleasure to be here with you at Coahoma Community College. To Ms. Taylor, thank you for that introduction. Brother President Towner, to your leadership team, members of the board, faculty, staff, students, those who participated this morning in the program. Let's give all of these students a round of applause. To Mr. Pittman, who invited me to share in today's program, and other members of the Black History Program Committee, to alumni and friends of the college, to Lottie Dottie, and to everybody. Then it covers everybody. It is good for me to be here, and I am pleased to be here for the first time in this place, and am very, very thankful for the opportunity to come. I also bring greetings on behalf of that place beneath the shade of giant trees, Alcorn State University, where we are proud to have a lot of Coahoma Community College students come, and we look forward to having many more, Dr. Towner. I won't be before you long today, but I want, in keeping with your theme about resistance, to talk about our present role in continuing the legacy. My second-born twin son often asks the question whether so-and-so is a part of Black history. He'll see a picture of Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer and say, "Is she Black history?" So, "Yes, son, she's Black history." We'll see an image of Mr. Medgar Evers. "Daddy, is he Black history?" I say, "Yes, son, he is Black history." Well, some time ago, I began to recognize, Mr. Pittman, that my son was often asking the question regarding deceased members of our community, those who had fought long and hard in days long gone. And it dawned on me, President Towner, that he needed to understand that Black history was not simply made way back yonder. Black history, Black historical figures are still among the land of the living. I came all the way from Jackson, Mississippi this morning to remind you, or to tell you for the first time, that Black history is not something we simply read about or watch in a Eyes on the Prize documentary. That right now, seated here at Coahoma Community College, are some Black history makers, people who right now living among us are doing great things to the glory of God. And I want you to give yourselves a round of applause. Yes, we are thankful to God for those who came before us. We're thankful for the shoulders of giants upon whom we stand. But if we believe that Black history makers are all in the past, we will drop the baton in the present and not leave a legacy for the future. I remember growing up in Hazelhurst, Mississippi, born in the 1980s. I'm recognizing just how old that makes me now, and not too old, if you will. But I remember saying to myself, I wish I had grown up in the 1950s and 1960s. If I grew up then, I would have marched with Brother James Meredith with his March for Freedom. If I were around then, I would have marched with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I would have wanted to be at Tougaloo College when they rallied to begin to process and strategize how to make a difference. I would have wanted to be a member of the NAACP and be a part of voter registration drives with Medgar Evers. But at the risk of being a little controversial, I lived through the last 10 years. I lived through the Trump era. I began to say, wait a minute, looks like the 1950s and the 1960s have revisited us. That the things that my ancestors and my grandparents and parents fought for us to have been so villagely fought to be taken away. And I want to submit to you, brothers and sisters, that part of the reason why that happened is because, if I can be honest, many of us were asleep at the wheel. We thought we've arrived. We thought we were in the promised land. We thought that everything was wonderful. And then they started chipping away at all of our won victories. But I stopped by to tell you that now is a good time to resist. Now is a good time to make sure that all of the things that we have accomplished, all of the things we earned, all the things our blood, sweat, and tears passed on to this generation, we must stand and resist even now. What does it mean to resist? First of all, I want to submit to you a few things, and I'll get out of your way. You cannot resist unless you insist. Somebody say insist. Y'all ain't saying it loud enough. I'm a Baptist preacher. I say insist. Yeah, what does it mean to insist? You can't resist unless you are resisting something and standing up for something as the alternative. You and I have to have an aim, a goal, a vision, a mission. There's got to be something we are standing up for. And sometimes, my mama said, you stand alone. Yeah. I don't know if I'm talking to anybody in here who ever had to stand up and found out that all the folk that egged you on to stand up was somewhere sitting down. Yeah, but you've got to insist. You've got to insist on your life. You've got to insist that all life, and black life in particular, matters. You've got to insist that you can have a great education and great economic advancement. You've got to stand for something, because if you stand for nothing, you will fall for anything. Brothers and sisters, we've got to learn to insist on some things. You and I have to be uppity enough to believe we deserve some stuff. That we ought to be able to say, in the land of the liberty and the home of the brave, that we should not, whether you're talking about Jackson or Clarksdale, we shouldn't be begging the government for clean drinking water. I wish I had a witness in here. That we should not in 2023 still be suffering with segregated schools and inequitable funding. We ought to stand for something. But you gotta know what you're standing for. Tragically, too many of us do not know our purpose. We don't know our sense of worth and identity because too many people have not told us that we are somebody. If you've never heard it before, I want you to share in a little class participation with me. Look to your neighbor to the left or the right, in front or behind you. Say, neighbor, oh neighbor, you are somebody. Look to somebody, say, neighbor, oh neighbor, you are somebody. Yeah, you may be a little slow, and you may not have all the degrees on the wall. You may have lost a little hair. But the good news is you are somebody. So folk that have rejected you, who will talk about you, who will scandalize your name. But I'm thanking God this morning that I am somebody. You got to insist on something. But not only are you to insist, you've got to persist. Somebody say persist. Yeah, you can't really insist one time. Frederick Douglass said, I paraphrase, that power concedes nothing without struggle. Yeah, you can't just say what you need or what you demand one time. You got to constantly engage in the struggle. You'll win a few victories, you'll earn a few losses, but you got to stay in the fight. You got to stay committed to the task until the task is done. And that's what we ought to give God praise for those who came before us, because they understood, in the words of Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer, she was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And when you get sick and tired enough, you're willing to stay engaged until it is all done. You got to persist. You can't give up. And the problem with many of us, brothers and sisters, is that we give up too easily. We concede too much. We throw in the towel before we've actually won the game. If we're going to resist, we've got to insist on some things. We've got to persist for some things. And we've got to have this sense that at the end, we will win. If we don't lose faith, if we don't give up, if we don't give out, we will win. I believe our resistance struggle is a struggle that continues a long history and heritage of freedom fighters who believed that there was something worth fighting for. And I've come to identify a few of you here at Coahoma Community College who have been running in the opposite direction. You know that God is calling you to do something great for his kingdom and for the world, but you've been timid about it. But at the risk of sounding a bit childish, I want to remind you of Disney's greatest animated epic film, The Lion King. Anybody here ever seen The Lion King? And there's a particular scene in The Lion King when grown Simba ran away from his responsibility and was there with Timon and Pumbaa and was living a different life in paradise. But Nyla found him and said there's trouble back at Pride Rock. Pride Rock is not what it used to be. Scar is in charge and everyone's hungry. The hyenas are coming in and taking over. Pride Rock is in a despicable place. We need you, Simba, to come back and to take your rightful throne. Simba was afraid to go back because he had the guilt of being a participant in his dad's death. He said, I can't go back. I'm good here. I'm going to stay here with Timon and Pumbaa and eat grubs and worms for the rest of my life. One day, Rafiki showed up. And Rafiki began to make sure that Simba understood that there was a call on his life. And he told Simba to look down in the water. And he said, what do you see? And Simba said, I don't see anything but my own reflection. And then Rafiki said, look again. All of a sudden, he sees the image of his father, Mufasa, and he has a little talk with his father. And his father said something that all of us ought to understand. He said, remember who you are. Yeah, I want to just say that again. I want you to say it with me. Say, remember who you are. In other words, he says, Simba, don't run from your responsibility. Don't run from who you are. You got a call on your life. You've got a mission on your life. I know you're afraid to stand on that. I know you're afraid to insist and persist, but when you remember who you are, may I add this, and whose you are, no devil in hell can stop you or block you from being and doing and accomplishing all you can do. I just stopped by to tell you today, remember who you are. Remember that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Remember that you are the head and not the tail, above only and not beneath. Remember that there's a call and assignment on your life. They may talk about you, they may scandalize you, they may block you, but in the end you will win because you are doing what God called you to do. I hear Isaiah saying, I'm going to my seat. Even the youths will grow weary, and the young people will utterly fall. But they that wait, I wish I had a few Bible readers in here. Upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They will mount up with wings as eagles. They'll run and not be weary. They'll walk and not faint. I hear Paul say, be not weary in well-doing, for in due season you shall reap if you faint not. I hear Kendrick Lamar say, we're going to be all right.
How do you even come up to the podium behind Dr. C.J. Rhodes? Let's give him another hand. C.J., could you come up for a minute? C.J., we want to thank you so much for coming here today. We appreciate you always. You know, it's good to have fellow MBLI alumni here on the campus. So on behalf of the institution, we thank you so much. Just a little small token. All right.
Well.
Now we will have our acknowledgments by Mrs. Kayla Jordan. On behalf of Coahoma Community College, I would like to extend our gratitude to our guest speaker, Dr. C.J. Rhodes. We thank you for sharing your inspiring words and wealth of knowledge with us today. Thank you to our president of the college, Dr. Valmish T. Towner, for your leadership and support. Thank you to all of the members of the leadership team, faculty and staff, the student body, and Carl King Career and Technical Education Center for joining us today. If you are an elected official or CCC board member, please stand as we applaud you for your continuous contributions to our community and institution. All right. In closing, thank you to Mr. Henry Dorsey and his crew for setting up the Pinnacle, the art department, and scholars for the artwork. And lastly, thank you to all of the members on the Black History Month Committee and all participants for the success of this event. Thank you. Now, please welcome Dr. Valmish Towner with our closing remarks.
My. The door of the church is open. You may come. Let a Christian experience. Will anybody bring the chairs out? My. Thank you very sincerely to Pastor and Dr. Rhodes. Also, he's a skillful School of Scholar type fellow. And we're so happy that he has taken out the time to come up on this morning to be with us in the Delta. Would y'all give him another hand? Please show him how you appreciate him. Thank you so much for coming. We are highly virtual now, and people are still coming out of this COVID mode. And so, but we certainly appreciate you coming and sharing those words. Did he not help you? Did he not encourage you? So we thank you so much. He pastors, and maybe you heard, he pastors the oldest, or one is the oldest in Jackson, Black church in Jackson, downtown Jackson, called Mount Ham Church. So if you're ever in Jackson, please go by there and worship with him. I'm certain that you will be blessed. Could go on and on and on. He's just an absolutely good man, family man, good brother, and highly involved in a lot of affairs relative to our people. So we certainly appreciate you coming. He's from that place called Alcorn. Herman Revels, first president of Alcorn State University, who's also a preacher, and served Alcorn 2 times, and also served as I think it was senator, wasn't it? Senator, U.S. Senator during Reconstruction. So we appreciate. One more time for Reverend Rhodes. Would y'all please show him some Coahoma love. Also, too, we want Chris Dixon. You make your way down again, because we have to take care of an indictment that we made. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. A blunder. I want to really celebrate as well these persons that are behind me, these wonderful persons behind me. They are my bosses. They pay the bills around here, and that is the MC, Miss Coahoma. Would y'all give her a hand? She did a wonderful job. Miss Taylor, as well as the students that are to my left and to my right. Would you give them a hand for the wonderful job? They've been to New Orleans twice and what have you. They are doing a wonderful job. It takes a lot for them to be able to stand here, and so this is a part of their development. Thank you, Mr. Pittman, for your leadership, as well as those that help you with this program. Thank you, attendees, for coming. This theme, as we prepare to exit, this theme, which has absolutely been extremely well covered by our speaker, is so relevant. Some people look at it and they sort of maybe get some bit of a trepidation about it. It's not violent. The Black resistance, it has nothing to do with weapons. The Black resistance is basically, as he mentioned, breaking the mold, looking in the water and being exactly who you are. Unfortunately, we have not been told who we truly really are. And we're more than what we wear. We're more than how we look on the outside. But our matriarchs and patriarchs were builders. This school, 1924, a high school, came about because of a resistance. Men such as Charles Reed's granddaddy came together and said, we want to educate black folk. Beyond just having them in the fields, we want to make sure that they can write and read and talk. So that's how you got the first agricultural high school. We call it Aggie, 1949. Another Alkanite, B.F. McLaurin, decided, well, we want to have a part in our resistance as well. We want to have a college. And if you're able to pull the record, the legislative record, anytime they spoke about Coahoma Community, it was Coahoma Junior College, Ms. Hanford and Mr. Dorsey and others that are maybe familiar with this, the state legislature wouldn't even refer to us by name. They would just simply say, that school up in northwest Mississippi by the Mississippi River. And so we had no district. I think the first class was about 25 students, and the late B.F. McLaurin with some very prominent Jacksonians and Rushdites develop a curriculum. So now we have this opulent place. Ms. Hanford, they call it the college that was not supposed to be. Some 70 plus years later, because of the resistance, you have this school. And so we're excited to say we are desirous of continuing the resistance, not violently. How do you continue resistance? You learn how to read, you learn how to write, you learn how to talk. You learn a skill trade, brick masonry, driving a truck, going to nursing school, getting you some information in your head, as well as being able to do something with your hands. Then you too can join in and be a part of the Black resistance. So students, we encourage you, listen to your teachers, your faculty members, learn all that you can, whether you're in academics, health sciences, or if you're in CTE, learn all that you can so that you can be a part of the resistance. What is the resistance again? It's simply being who you are. I wish we had time to go and talk about that. You and I have a rich, glorious history that unfortunately has been suppressed. And so therefore we don't know who we are, Reverend. So thank you for reminding us to insist and to persist, and then that we can be a part of the resistance. One more time for the message. All right, so choir, you all coming back? Are you coming back? You gonna come back? Okay, so I want the choir to come back. Come back, MC. I don't want to take her job. I want the choir to come back. But listen, let me tell you something now. I want everybody to stand as the choir is coming. I want us to redo, get you a program. And I want us to do, now that gentleman that's squeezing the keys over there is an elder, and he's gonna play and lead us. If you gotta give him a mic, give him a mic. But we wanna sing what the late Matt King Carter said is the only anthem that does not have violence in it. And we want to start with the second verse. We didn't do that right. Let me talk very, very country. We didn't sing that right, y'all. And choir, now we're gonna sing before the alma mater. Now I don't know who's gonna cue us. Y'all got a sheet of paper? Give them a program so they can follow us on this. Unless y'all already know it. Are you gonna sing here with me? Stony the road we trod. I can't understand. Talk loud to me. What is that?
He said which song?
We want to sing Jane Weldon Johnson's the second and the third verse of Lift Every Voice and Sing, because we brutalized that on the first one. Can I get a witness on that? Now, we need to do it right. So, Mr. Carter, y'all help us lead us on that. Y'all know I'm not musically inclined. Come on, Brother Dixon. If you don't have a paper, don't act like y'all know the song. Everybody looking at me like you want me to lead it? No, choir, go ahead. You have scholarships for that. Go ahead.
Miss Pepper, you gonna close this out? Oh, we are.
I want
We
y'all
want
to
to
get
get
a
y'all
picture.
picture.
Oh, speaker too.